North and South Korea are gearing up for a historic meeting taking place tonight, our time, which is Friday morning, South Korean time. Kim Jong-un will cross the border into the South for a high-stakes summit with South Korean President Moon Jae-in. They're expected to focus on Pyongyang's nuclear weapons program, and they could possibly formally declare an end to the Korean War. For more on this, I want to bring in BBC News correspondent Laura Bicker. She's following the latest in Seoul, South Korea. Laura, can you take us through this summit? What exactly will the two leaders be doing?
This is going to be big on ceremony and big on symbolism. Kim Jong-un will step across the military demarcation line. Now, that's a line of concrete blocks that formally marks the border between North and South Korea. When he steps over that line, he will become the first North Korean leader to officially set foot on South Korean soil. The two leaders will then walk together to the Peace House for talks. During the day, there is also going to be this tree planting ceremony. It's supposed to mark peace and prosperity, and to do that, they've even had soil brought from both sides of the country, both North and South Korea, and even the water they will use to plant the tree has come from rivers from both North and South. But when you talk about all this symbolism, behind it all is the key agenda to try to get Kim Jong-un to give up his nuclear weapons.
So are we also expecting them then to officially declare an end to the Korean War? Because technically the two countries are still at war, are they not?
Yes, the Korean War ended in 1953 with the signing of an armistice, not a peace treaty. Now, when it comes to the prospect of a peace treaty, we're not expecting that in the next 24 or 48 hours. What we're expecting is perhaps a layout of how this process will go even further. Now, South Korea has already raised the possibility that it might dangle a peace treaty in front of Kim Jong-un, but only if he's prepared to denuclearize. So at the weekend, we heard some concessions from the North Korean leader. We heard that he's willing to stop testing his nuclear weapons and stop testing his intercontinental ballistic missiles. That is a concession. However, it's not denuclearization. This is not what's being demanded by the international community. So that peace treaty will not be dangled in front of the North Korean leader until he's willing to give up his weapons.
And is that expected? I mean, after years of major hostility, nuclear tests, threats, and rising tensions, can he actually be expected to give up his nuclear weapons at this time?
I don't know any analysts who believe that Kim Jong-un is about to hand over his coveted weapons program. He's once called it a treasure sword. Remember the sacrifice that North Korea has gone to. 2 million people died during a famine when the international sanctions, the last international sanctions, took place. And when it comes to current sanctions, they're risking international isolation. Excuse me. So when it comes to the sacrifice that they've made, they're unwilling to give them up, I would say, at the moment.
So, Laura, what exactly are U.S. officials and President Trump going to be on the lookout for here?
Any concessions. What is Kim Jong-un looking for? What does he want? What does he want in return to give up his weapons, if he's prepared to do that at all? Now, we've heard that he wants to focus on his economy, on building his economy. So how does he want to do that? Does he want international sanctions lifted? Does he want US troops off the peninsula? All of these things will be what President Trump is looking for, because then he knows exactly what he needs to lay down when he has his own meeting in late May or early June.
All right, Laura Bicker in Seoul, South Korea. Thank you. National security